So it was the last period of my classroom, and I was consistently looking at the clock and waiting till the bell rings, and I could finally get out of this shitty place. Our maths teacher was teaching us logarithms or something. I loved my maths teacher because he used to treat me really well after my friends went missing, and without them, I feel alone in my class. Well, whatever. On my right side was Jonathan. Jonathan was annoying. He always wants to get along me and hang out. He keeps calling me and try to sit with me in the class always. He is still trying to get my attention. Well, whatever, I'll just focus on. On what? I'm not focusing on anything. I'm actually waiting for the bell to ring. The bell finally rang, and I grabbed my backpack and ran out of the classroom. I didn't even bother to say goodbye to Jonathan, who was still trying to talk to me. I just wanted to get home and relax. I hated school, especially maths. Logarithms were the worst. I took the bus home, and as soon as I got to my room, I threw myself on the bed and fell asleep. I had a weird dream where I was in the arcade playing Street Fighter with Jonathan. He was beating me every time, and he was laughing at me. He said I was a loser and a coward. He said he knew my secret, that I was afraid of the dark. He said he was going to make me pay for ignoring him. He said he had a surprise for me. I woke up with a start, feeling sweaty and scared. I looked at the clock and saw that it was 6 p.m. I decided to go to the arcade just to play Street Fighter and forget about the dream. I hoped Jonathan was not there, but to my dismay, he was. He was playing alone, looking bored. He saw me and smiled. He said he was glad I came. He said he wanted to play with me today. He said he had something to show me. I felt a chill down my spine, but I tried to act normal. I said sure, why not? I joined him at the machine and we started playing. He was surprisingly good, and he beat me every round. He was also very talkative, and he kept asking me personal questions. He asked me if I liked school, if I had any friends, if I had any hobbies. He asked me if I was afraid of anything. He asked me if I knew what logarithms were. I felt annoyed and uncomfortable because whether I have any friends or not. This question made me remember my old two friends, Mike and Bilal, who used to come with me to play arcade, but now they are not with me. They are gone. Gone from this world. Well, it's not confirmed if they are dead or not, but they are missing from 6 months. The police is still trying to find out where are they, but everyone in our neighborhood thinks that they are gone. They matched the vibe with me because all three of us weren't good at maths, especially in maths class. We used to make fun of maths. Well, whatever, I didn't want to be rude to Jonathan. I answered his questions briefly and vaguely. I said I didn't like school. I didn't have many friends. I didn't have any hobbies. I said I didn't know what logarithms were. He smiled and said he knew. He said that, don't you miss your missing friends? I saw them last time in this arcade. Do you know what happened next? He said this in a very creepy way. He was starting to creep me out. He said he had been watching me for a long time. He said he was my biggest fan, and before me, he was Mike's and Bilal's biggest fan. I felt confused and scared. I asked him what he meant. He didn't say anything, but smiled a little. I had enough. I just ignored him and left the arcade. I saw the time, and it was 7 already. Good thing my parents haven't called me yet. I called an Uber and waited for my ride. I peeked in the arcade from the window wall and saw Jonathan was not playing games anymore, but had a creepy and angry face. He stood up and went to the bathroom. I didn't know what was wrong with this dude. Whatever, my ride came. It actually came 5 minutes before the time was showing on the screen. I was quite surprised. I felt relived for leaving the arcade. I was using my phone, and then I suddenly realized we have been driving for 30 minutes, and the neighborhood doesn't seem to be known to me. I told the driver that you are going the wrong way. He said, in a made-up voice, that, sir, actually that road's blocked. I opened my phone to check the map, and what I saw on the phone left me half dead. I felt like my heart is going to pump out. The Uber driver never picked me up. So who is this person with whom I'm driving? I couldn't see his face because of his mask and glasses. I was terrified to ask him anything. I didn't know what to do. I asked him that how long will it take? He answered that only just a couple of minutes. I was getting frightened second by second. I really wanted to jump from here. And soon he stopped. In front of a deserted clinic. The clinic was closed. I asked him, what are we doing here, sir?" in a trembling voice. He said, "I just have to pick up some medicines." He locked the doors, but left the window open. He went inside. I didn't know what to do. Finally, I decided to call 911. Just as soon, I was going to call the police. He came, unfortunately, and hit me with a baseball bat. I felt a sharp pain in my head. As I opened my eyes, I was in a dark room, tied to a chair. I could barely see anything, except for a figure standing in front of me. It was the Uber driver who picked me up from the arcade. I had no clue what his motive was. Why me? What did I ever do to him? I could smell something foul in the air, like rotten eggs. It made me nauseous. I started crying and asked him to let me go. I asked him who the heck he was and why he was doing this to me. I sobbed uncontrollably. He shushed me and removed his veil. To my surprise, he was my math teacher. He had a twisted smile on his face. He had 2 rings on his neck as a necklace. I recognized them as belonging to my friends, Mike and Bilal. They were my best friends. We went to the arcade together. Where were they now? I shouted, "Where are my friends?" To my horror, what he showed me left me dead inside. He showed me their half-torn, dead bodies. They were covered in blood and wounds. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My psychopath math teacher said, "Now it's your turn." He sounded like a maniac. I was so afraid that I lost my breath. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead. He started the chainsaw he had. It was loud and terrifying. I screamed. I screamed as loud as I could. Fortunately, Jonathan and the police arrived, and they rescued me and arrested that maniac. Jonathan was another friend of mine. He was smart and brave. He told me how he followed me after I left the arcade, because when I came out of the arcade, I met an Uber driver looking for me. That's when he found things suspicious. He called the police and tracked me down. He saved my life. Later, the police found out that this was a maniac who brutally killed other students who didn't pay attention to his class. He was a serial killer. He had a list of names. I was one of them. Even after 2 years of that incident, I'm still in trauma and can't get rid of that weird smile of my teacher. It haunts me in my dreams. I hope I forget that night